But before you do that, you ask them, is the Bible inspired? They'll go, yeah. Is it infallible? Yeah. You ask her that first. Then you ask them, do you know how it came to be? They'll go, no. And you tell them, it was the Catholic Church in the year 400 that canonized, that determined what books go into that Bible. But if the church was apostate in 100 AD and you can't believe anything they say, what business do you have carrying that book around? It's given to you by an apostate church. And see how red their face gets.
Well, yeah, so some of them must know that now, but they keep believing.
I imagine they aren't taught that.
They are not taught that.
Exactly.
But again, consistency. Remember I've said many times, what we look for in our faith is consistency. It doesn't matter what denomination you look at, you look for consistency. It has to be consistent all the way through. How do you explain that?
Well, there's no way to explain it.
There isn't a way.
Because
Logically. Okay?
well, there's no way they could, even illogically, they couldn't explain it.
You can't do it.
There's too much gap. Either it's right or it's wrong.
There's discrepancy. But let me just say one thing about our Mormon friends. They are right on the money as far as their understanding of a true church. And you can't say this of any Protestant denomination, but you can say this of our Mormon friends. Because they have the key component dialed in as far as what makes a true church. What does it take for a church to be the true church? What does that church need?
Authority.
It needs Christ's authority, right? And we say, when we read Scripture, we look at history, we read church fathers, we see that Christ gave authority to the apostles, and the apostles gave authority to their successors, and the church was established, and that early church was the Catholic Church. That's historic fact. So we know the church has authority. And what they're claiming is that authority was lost. And what they're saying, in 1800, Joseph Smith, and this is another component that bugged me a little bit in this program. They were making statements as just fact. You know, and they're giving Joseph Smith's story. Do you know Joseph Smith's story?
Yeah.
What did he see? Before that?
God and Jesus.
God the Father and Jesus in physical form came down to Joseph Smith. And Joseph Smith, there's God, there's Jesus in flesh. So what does that tell us right off the bat?
Well, God was in heaven.
Yeah.
That's right. Nobody sees God.
He was on drugs.
You know? So, all of a sudden they're making some claims that are just totally anti.
He appeared to be right in the middle of that mushroom patch.
So,
Yeah, when he was
but what they say, and this is where you got to give them credit. They say authority was lost. Think about their logic process, which is great. Authority was lost. Now God and Christ came back and He gave authority to Joseph Smith. So they're getting back to the authority issue, which is good. That's what the true church has to have. But then the ultimate question is, was there a great apostasy? And did God the Father in flesh and Jesus give that authority to Joseph Smith? That's the ultimate question.
But nobody but Smith experienced this.
Yeah. Where's the proof?
Where is the proof that this actually...
You know, we have to have faith, right? In order to be a Christian, you have to have faith, right? But is it a total blind faith?
No.
Do we have total blind faith?
No.
What do we have?
We back it up with Scripture.
Well, we back it up with Scripture. They back it up with Scripture.
We got witnesses.
Okay. There has to be historic fact. There has to be something to back up this stuff. You know, we read Scripture, but then when we go back, all these archaeological digs and all that, they uncover the cities. They uncover this. There's historians that wrote down stuff. So we go to these extra biblical sources, and it gives us, yes, it shows us that stuff happens. So there has to be some facts that we can go to back up what we believe. Naturally, we can't have fact on everything, but there are facts and things that we can go to justify what's in here. On the other side, as Cal said, if Joseph Smith, he had this vision. But what other, is there anything else out there to substantiate this? There isn't any.
And you know that their programs, they covered that in the first 15 minutes and laid it out and made it very difficult to give validity to.
So, okay, I got a little sidetracked, but again, you know, hopefully you come to these classes to learn about your faith, but it's kind of neat to see what's out there so we can start to apply what we're learning and see how it fits together. So,
We really need to put our apologetics and step up and get it going. Each individual with their sphere of influence, because they're a fast-growing church in America.
it's a fact that they say the Mormon church is one of the fastest growing churches in the world, okay? But did you catch how many members are in the church?
12 million?
Something like that. Percentage-wise, they're growing fast. But when you put it in the scope of the big picture,
Well, billion.
they're a drop in the bucket. So, you know, then it's the perception, it's the marketing. You know, it's the fastest growing, yes, but in perspective. Okay, if you get me going on Mormonism, we can. When I see Mormons in town, I go up to them. Okay, I was in Cold Stone. You know where that is? That is coupon. Okay, so we go in there. Hey, who's in there? These two Mormon missionaries. They're having an ice cream. I said, "Hey guys, how you doing?" You know, I said, "I've been studying Mormonism. I got some questions." They start drooling. Okay, and I said, "Would it be possible to come by and talk with me?" "Oh gosh, yeah. Here, let me take your number and name and number." You know, I never see him again. This happened about 5 times. And I commented to my Mormon friend Bishop down the street. I said, "Bill, I must be on a list somewhere." And he says, "No, we don't do that stuff." How can this be? I've done, I think, 3 sets of Mormon missionaries. I met a pair in Walmart, Cold Stone, and somewhere. I give my name and my number. And you don't think they'd be jumping on that opportunity? Here's a person that wants to hear your
Well,
message.
you know, their church is out of where I live, you know, and I went by there the other day, your name's written on the front door.
Oh, I bet.
The big X.
They've got a list like the phone book with the do not call list.
You know,
You're a fallen angel.
so, but that's why we need you. They don't know you. So, you know, and we do it in love. You know, we don't do it as, our goal is to plant a seed, to make them think a little bit. Yeah.
But what we found just not a few weeks ago, these young men came. And boy, they really rattled off everything, just like you're saying about the Mormon church. But when Bill would try to tell him, you know, about our church, it was as though they didn't even pay any attention.
Well, you know why? You gotta give these kids, these guys are just kids.
Yeah.
They're only 19 years old. They go through this Mormon training school and they're just taught. Boom, 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 boom. As long as they're on their spiel, they're okay. But when and they don't want to go off of it. So your goal is to try to interject some things like this and get them off of their spiel, you know? Otherwise it's just...
Before they start talking, ask them questions.
Yeah.
Have the question in your mind before they sit down.
Yeah.
When
What
they
your
sit
goal
down,
is to...
open the book, you say, well, let me ask you.
Yeah.
And then hang on to it from that
Yeah,
point.
don't let them...
Don't tell him anything, ask him.
Yeah.
Explain to me this.
Yeah. That's what you got to do, because they're taught to do
And their
certain
big
things.
thing is authority. I want to talk to you about
Yeah,
authority.
bring them up. They love authority, and they're right. You want a little strategy? Whenever you go, this is what I do every time. You go up to a Mormon. I want to compliment you on your acknowledgement of the true church has to have the authority from Christ. That is true. Do you realize it's a Catholic? And they will acknowledge it's a Catholic church or their church is true. They'll acknowledge that because they're into authority. They know authority is the key issue. They dismiss all of Protestantism because they don't have Christ's authority. So we've got to compliment them on that. They got that part nailed. So then we can zero in on the authority. Well, show me when it was lost. Prove it. You've got to do that.